The movie club movies, wax pack editions. What's up? A new way to put out my content is in these smaller editions. I'm going to do the B-sides and things we missed from the past episode. At the same time, I've got a lot of content written and I don't know where to put it. I don't have spaces in these movie conversations for all the topics I'm writing or thinking about. So I was thinking, for those folks that just need a little bit more of a bite-sized movie club movies podcast episode, maybe you're at a market in Castro and you're headed towards New Montgomery. Well, this is the episode for you. Today, we're going to talk about convertibles and just a few things that we missed last week. We talked in our last episodes about soundtracks, female lead progressiveness, and dynamic pairings with electric characters and plot lines, including character actors. We highlighted a few. We also had some soundtrack suggestions from friends and movie club members. Be sure to smash that podcast follow button on your VHS device. Also be sure to smash that voice message or comment buttons on your Pocket Rockers device. And you guys might have missed anyone who leaves a voice message in this next series of episodes is going to get sent some official merch, a TMCMS original graphic t-shirt. And hey, smash that voice message button. Let me know some of the replies and your own comments about what you've been watching and thinking about. It's just that easy. It's time for more topics. Convertibles in movies. I realize we have covered a short handful of movies in the same years. I also know we have covered a couple from extreme distances from each other. So I will be sure not to get stuck in park, and we will skid out of this parking garage of movie years. For now, let's put the top down. It's a balmy 61 degrees, fall in the American South. Let's talk about the importance of convertibles in movies. This is not the only movie we know of that has a main character driving a supporting character in a convertible. Automobile. Rush Hour, 48 Hours, K9, Robert Redford in Sneakers, Nash Don Johnson in Nash Bridges, Miami Vice, Florence Pugh in Don't Worry Darling, Kenny in Core of Some, Tom Cody in Streets of Fire. He basically steals a car that is a convertible. Tom Cruise, Jackie Earle Haley, Shelley Long in 1983's Losing It. Arnold and DeVito in Twins actually twinning Lil Red convertibles with Michelle Pfeiffer in Tequila Sunrise. Make those connections. Jonathan Demme's Something Wild with Melanie Griffith and Jeff Daniels. Rude Dog and the Dweebs when they're dweebing around in a pink Cadillac. Jonathan Demme's Something Wild with Melanie Griffith and Jeff Daniels. Jeff Goldblum and Michelle Pfeiffer run around into the night in an Elvis's boat of a convertible for some reason in some moments. Actually, the reason is because it's her brother's. Whoop drives one in Fatal Beauty. Jim Carrey as Ace Ventura sticks his head out of the window. I'll count that as convertible. Sideswipe in Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon, Bumblebee, not a convertible. Sinbad in A Bag of Chips and House Guest, most every racer in Death Race 2000, Rick Dalton, Cliff Booth, Sharon Tate, Dustin Hoffman as Raymond, and Cruz in an oldie from Cincy and Rain Man. Chili Palmer, played by John Travolta, drives an Oldsmobile Silhouette, the Cadillac of minivans. Not a convertible. Roger Rabbit drives a convertible, Cab. Benny in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Farley and Spade and Tommy Boy. Chris Tucker at the beginning of Money Talks. Nobody in Drop Zone. And nobody in My Blue Heaven for context. Thomas Crown drives a top-off like dune buggy as he brings along a priceless oil piece in Catherine Banning in the iconic title 1999's Thomas Crown Affair. Connor McLeod, famous for his shitty convertible in Highlander 2. Virginia Madsen, playing Louise Marcus, gets a chance to be driven in this car. Manny, played by Stephen Bauer in Scarface, drives or shares a convertible in his and Tony's meager beginnings, with Tony played by Pacino. TMCMS content contributor ELLE suggests Ferris Bueller steals Cameron's dad's convertible in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Mannequin 2, that is where we see the pink Cadillac. How many movies had a pink Cadillac convertible? Clint Eastwood in Pink Cadillac. Fatal Beauty, I mentioned Whoopi Goldberg earlier. Masters of the Universe, shout out to the ABZ podcast. Have you seen it in any other films? Smash that voice message button, or leave a comment, or reply on Instagram or Spotify. I suppose the main reason we see this so often in film, in my opinion, open for filming, lighting can be applied. That's because there is no top to this. I think along with that is a bit of a spotlight on our hero when used right, like in 48 Hours. We, the audience, read into our hero's personality. When it's used just to adjust our lighting budget or show that our hero is a jokey, crummy kind of guy with taste for stylish but old, broken down POSs, it's used in poor taste. A terrible use of a tool. Using a car, any car, a car with personality, can add to our hero's written personality, the stage set around them. Adding a real expensive car is like adding a flower and vase into the scenery, adds color, character choice, background elements. There could also be a moment for a timeless timestamp, a way to show our hero is with it, or behind the times. I have an eye for the textures the production team can add to the props, like walls, set dressing, clothing, living or working spaces, and vehicles, like an old car, or a car we're reading into as adding to our main character's personality. And what I mean by textures is the visual textures, symbolism, symbolic textures, like a car, like what is the wall behind you? Is it made of vinyl siding, like from the 60s, or is it a brick wall, like in New York City, or Toronto? Or is it a bedroom wall? Or is it a bathroom wall? There's some textures to that we all pick up on. There must be a few people wearing them down with sandpaper, sandblasters, weathering paint, and texturing. Or extractors, weathering, wearing down props like an automobile are always exciting in my imagination. And of course adds texture to whatever movies I'm watching. Even better with on film, actual weathering paint and texturing. There must be a few people wearing down with sandpaper, sandblasters, or extractors, weathering, wearing down props like an automobile. It always excites my imagination to think about what the prop department or these production hands might be doing for things that are in our main focus, like the main character's car, the suit they're wearing, if this is all a part of that scenario. It's even better when you get to see it on film and it's not digital or something like that. Or overly done, like maybe like a bad superhero movie where like the car they drive is just overly painted and things. It doesn't need to be that way. Last episode I failed to mention a movie named Snowboard Academy. And that episode, Just the Way You Are, may have been our most carless movie. And I wanted to mention that and just didn't get to it. Captain Ron may be a short second, with Ron's borrowed car rolling off the pier in the beginning of that movie. Harvey's daughter's headbanger fiance was driving a Bronco. Just the Way You Are, 84, no car to speak of. Lots of skiing. Our TMCMS cars and trucks so far. 1961-62 Chevrolet Corvette, Coach Teacher's Suburban. 1973 Corvette Stingray, Captain Ron's Dodge piece of shit that he let roll off the pier and was not his anyways. Samantha and Regina pick up a Mercedes and have access to a couple motorcycles. I think Hector is driving the Ecto 1, Dino Dump Truck, Tanny's Toyota Celica. We saw bike riders in Capron and Tammy in the T-Rex. Vinny's nephew is driving a 1964 Buick Skylark convertible. Listen to our episode to learn more about that convertible in My Cousin Vinny. 1962 Cadillac Series 62 convertible. Vinny gets stuck in the mud. Don't Worry Darling has a really great CarMDB out there. If you search it, there's a lot more information that I could possibly fit into my notepad here. Please check it out. Great picks, of course. That movie is filled in probably our most car-related movie in terms of how many different cars are in that one that are sort of unique and special. And it was, of course, a movie that doesn't really deal in a specific time. So be sure and check that out. And I also wanted to mention a VW Bug. A yellow VW Bug. It's now time for Concession Concerns. This week's Concession Concerns, I'm talking about avocado toast, peanut butter, and everybody's favorite, milkshakes or bubble teas. First off, I've been eating a bunch of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and I just realized, are you supposed to refrigerate peanut butter? Is anybody refrigerating peanut butter out there? Never even crossed my mind, and I think if I've ever had peanut butter refrigerated, it's really tough to get back out and spread on the bread and all this stuff. So I never thought that it was supposed to just be in the refrigerator. Moving on, I also made myself avocado toast on cinnamon toast. No raisins. I talked to Elle. She says no go. I say, you may not know, but it tastes delicious. And I thought it was a genius selection, as I've usually had avocado toast on sourdough, which is also amazing and may not need any work or substitution. But I happened to find a really prime package of cinnamon bread that had no raisins or any funny business. It was excellent. It toasts great. I would say it's domestic toast. It's very much a smaller piece than I think I've seen when you go and get it at a restaurant or cafe for brunch. Moving on. Milkshakes or bubble teas in the theater. Post 2020, looking into eating healthier, drinking healthier, breathing healthier. I like the idea of a smoothie. However, that's not necessarily my pick. That's not going to be in my lifestyle. I like the idea of it. I respect it. I have no criticism of it. I hope you're able to find some tasty choices out there. But it does sound like people are either going for the entertainment value of a fruit smoothie, a yogurt, maybe that makes it into not only entertainment but could be breakfast based. The other one is protein based, or even further just general nutrients, and that's how you supplement your day or how you supplement your meals. I'm fine with all of that. I don't necessarily subscribe to any of that, but I've had a taste of those few different things as I've gone to get a milkshake, a bubble tea, or a smoothie, and like I mentioned, had brunch somewhere at one point and had one of that. But my real question is, I love a delicious bubble tea, boba tea. There's so many varieties. We all can customize it to our very, very favorite way to do things with the tapioca, the flavor, and the milk. And where I'm going to come in on this concern is that I'm switching off of dairy for the context of I'd like to have a milkshake and not only just maybe take a walk around a park, and it doesn't have to contain coffee, which is usually where I'm going with this, iced coffee and a walk around the park, or skateboard up to a park or whatever. That's really great. I definitely choose that and subscribe. But I'm even trying to just get away from an extra coffee throughout my day. and I'd like to maybe discover a way that I can have a milkshake, go for a walk, have a milkshake, and go see a movie. And we all know we're watching a lot of streamers, we're watching a lot of content on our own personal media. DVD players, Blu-rays, Laserdiscs, VHS. You can still have a milkshake and use any of those pieces of media. Don't you agree? Does anybody have their favorites that's out there listening to this? Let me throw what's on my menu here. My thought was I'm always open for like a soy milk, almond milk, and oat milk has been working out the best, and I really enjoy a good oat milk in my iced coffee or what have you. But I've had my share of sort of alternative milk in a milkshake, right? Just throughout the years. But I haven't really found one that's consistent recently. I'm challenging in conversation the idea of having an oat milk milkshake with maybe a caramel, and we can throw sort of it could get kind of a mix. Even if I want to just start off by saying on the menu there is an oat milk cookies and cream milkshake. Okay, that's one option. So now I just want to have some fun with this, and what would I really enjoy taking into the movie theater on my next trip? And please shout out your recipes or ideas, or if you actually have done such a thing or found it at your own movie theater. Before I get into my own experience, I want to mention I am liking the idea of a caramel, oat milk. Maybe this becomes one of these salted caramel recipes. At the same time, I also like the idea of making it maybe a cookie-based thing. We had talked about sugar cookies in the past. You know, I could even see myself, if you found a place making such a milkshake, maybe they have protein options, so maybe it becomes sort of a peanut butter cookie flavor. I'm open to that. You're also going inside of a movie, and we know things like sugary and salty go together with movies, and at the same time, things that are quiet and not full of fragrance. And I think a milkshake falls into those categories, and is totally acceptable for a movie. What are we talking about? A public movie snack? Do you have your choices of flavors that you think I'm missing? I don't think a mint is where I'm going to go with this, but I could open up that maybe strawberries is something, so maybe some sort of chocolate, like a dark chocolate strawberry sort of, whipped up, mixed up would be great. I also like the idea of a savory, and I know I mentioned caramel, salted caramel, but what about like an avocado, oat milk? I'm allergic to bananas, truth be told, so I can't. I gotta stick with just the avocado, and then so maybe you could give me like blueberries. Maybe let's go back to the cinnamon. How's all that sound? Smash that voice message button. My own experience. I traveled to Indonesia, Jakarta, and I was able to visit a mall, a very popular mall. It was very, very nice. And I got to check out snacks and just window shop. Was I was able to get a boba tea, bubble tea, and I think I got cookies and cream. I don't know what exactly I got. I was excited and it was great. And I would say it wasn't too different than most bubble tea places I had been in California, and even California is signature to me, and I was living there and I was visiting Jakarta, and it did seem similar to the stands and stuff, so there wasn't so much of an ingredient that threw me off. And I know if I stick to cookies and cream, I realize that's not very creative, but I think it sounded great at the time. As I turn around with the bubble tea, whatever flavor it was, there's a movie theater, at least an entrance. I wasn't too interested. If there was a Gap or a Target behind me, I also wouldn't understood much more, because I just wasn't there to look at the stuff I've seen before. I know about movie theaters, and I didn't check out what was playing, but it was very much like plugged in. side of the world, okay? So it didn't seem like I was going to find anything different. Plus, I wasn't there for that. Moving forward, I turned around and saw a movie theater. That has helped influence my idea of bubble tea, milkshake at the movies. Concession Concerns. We'll see you again. That concludes our special segment episode of the Movie Club Movies podcast. Catch us for a more main, longer podcast when we recap movies and have a longer movie conversation. Let me know. Smash that voice message button. Leave us a comment. Please be kind. Please rewind.